Hi, folks. I'm Peter Lemieux with Batter Sports and Rounding Third. I tell baseball stories. About a little while ago, one of the followers suggested I do a story on Bob Gibson. I would love to talk about Bob Gibson. It'd be an honor. But here's my challenge. I try to keep these little presentations to 10 to 12 minutes so to not take up large parts of your day. I cannot touch Bob Gibson in that period of time. So I'm going to go through the highlights and I'm going to ask you folks, like, subscribe, and fill in the comments section some of the holes in my story. I've got great followers, folks. If you're not following, you should join this club. We love to talk baseball, nerdy old baseball, whatever you want to call it, but we love the history of baseball. My Bob Gibson story starts where he was born in Omaha, Nebraska. Um, he went to high school there where he was a stellar athlete in both basketball and baseball. When he finished high school, he got offered a basketball scholarship to Creighton University, where he played on the basketball team in his junior year, averaged 22 points a game as a forward. When he graduated from college, he did three things. Number one, he got married. Number two, he signed a contract with the Harlem Globetrotters. And number three, the Cardinals were offering him a contract, which he signed when his season with the Globetrotters finished. And it was with the Cardinals that Bob Gibson finished his professional athletic career. But he had enough um, athletic ability to play on a professional level with both the Globetrotters and the Cardinals. Now, in the beginning, Bob Gibson's career was not unlike most players. He was in the minors, he didn't do particularly well. When he finally got up to the majors, it was just part time in 1960, 560 run earn run average. So he spent winter ball in Venezuela and some time in Cuba. In 1961, he made the Cardinals team. The manager was a guy named Sally Hemus. Now, rumor is that Sally Hemus did not like black players. So Bob Gibson was used sparingly and mostly out of the bullpen until July, when Sally Hemus got fired and a guy named Johnny Keane took over the team. Johnny Keane had worked with Bob Gibson in the minors, and he really liked him, and Gibson liked him also. Put him in the starting rotation. By the end of the season, Gibson had a 11-6 record, pitching basically a half a year, and his earned run average was down to 324. Now, Bob Gibson was not just a baseball player. He worked very hard to integrate baseball. After that first full season, Bob Gibson, Bill White, these and two teammates, Bill White, who later became president of the American League, and Curt Flood, who was famous for a lot of other things, which we can talk about on another day. The three of them went to the Cardinals. And what they wanted is they wanted the black players to stay in the same clubhouse and hotels as the white players. That was not being done anywhere in baseball. Now, I want you to think about this. 1961, Jackie Robinson came into the league in 47. 14 years, and the whites and blacks were still separated. The Cardinals agreed to that, became the first team in baseball to integrate the whole team when they traveled and when they were together. A lot of people say that that went a long way to the great cohesion that was developed in the Cardinal team during the mid to late 60s. But having said that, let me just say that Bob Gibson became an amazing starting pitcher. I'm not going to be able to tell you all the things he did, all-star games, tremendous records, strikeouts, wins, but I'll start with 1964 because in that year, the Cardinals went to the World Series to play the Yankees. 7-game series. Bob Gibson lost game two, but came back and won game five. So it went to a game seven, and the Cardinals decided to start Bob Gibson on 2 days rest. And he went out and won the game, pitching a complete game. He won 2 out of 3 games and set a World Series record in 1964 by striking out 31 batters. in the World Series. Now, a couple years go by. Bob Gibson is really doing well, making all-star teams, winning lots of games. I want to bump it ahead in the interest of time to 1967. In 1967, July 15th specifically, Roberto Clemente hits a line drive off of Bob Gibson's right leg. Gibson, unaware that he actually had fractured his leg, faced three more batters before his right fibula bone snapped above the ankle. That was July. September 7th, Bob Gibson returned to the starting lineup. And what is that? Just 2 months? And he pitched well, and they made it to the 1967 World Series. And in 1967, they played against the Boston Red Sox. So, what happened in that? In 1967, Bob Gibson won 3 complete games against the Red Sox. He won games 1, 4 was a 5-hit shutout, and 7. Those 3 wins had not been accomplished since 1905 with Christy Mathewson. Not only did Gibson win Game 7, he also hit a home run in that game. He became the World Series most valuable player and had established himself as a great pitcher. The next year is the better year to talk about. And I'm going to close by talking about 1968. That was called the year of the pitcher. Let me tell you what Bob Gibson did in 1968 because it's absolutely unbelievable. He finished the year with an earned run average of, get this, 112 for the whole season. In that season, he had 28 complete games. Of the 6 games that he didn't complete, he was pulled for a pinch hitter. So Bob Gibson pitched the whole season without ever being removed in the middle of an inning. 28 complete games. Now, his team didn't give him a lot of offensive support. So he lost 2 games 1-0. One of the 1-0 losses was when Gaylord Perry pitched a no-hitter against the Cardinals. But we move on to the World Series, and the ominous Bob Gibson is now facing the Detroit Tigers. This is a monumental World Series because the Detroit Tigers had a guy on their pitching staff named Denny McLain. Denny McLain had won 31 games during 1968. So Bob Gibson goes in there in the World Series, and in his first game strikes out 17 batters, setting a new World Series record. Game 1, he wins. Game, I think it was 3 or 4, he wins. Now he gets to Game 7. The Cardinals had demolished Denny McLain by 10-1 prior to that, so the Detroit Tigers went with their pitcher named Mickey Lolich. 6 innings, 0-0. But in the 7th inning, after 2 outs, the Tigers got 2 singles and then a 2-1 triple, which to this day, people said Curt Flood missed it. He came in at 2 steps and then broke back, and it got over his head. But that was the difference in the game, and the Tigers ended up winning the World Series. Now, Bob Gibson went on to have an amazing career, Hall of Fame career. He, Bob Gibson they have a statue built to him in Sportsman Park in St. Louis. He ended up on his career with 251 wins, a 291 lifetime ERA, and over 3,000 strikeouts. He was a 9-time All-Star, 2-time World Series champion, National League MVP in 1968, 2 Cy Young Award wins, 2 World Series MVP, and 9 Gold Gloves. On and on and on. Pitched a no-hitter. Bob Gibson did everything. And so, I really expect and hope you guys can fill in the gaps on Bob Gibson. But I got to close by talking about what they call today the year of the pitcher. 1968, when Bob Gibson had an incredible 112 earned run average with 28 complete games. But all through baseball, it was pitching, pitching, pitching. So I looked this up. In 1968, all the teams had an average earned run average of 342. There were only two teams who had ERAs over 4. Cincinnati Reds, Washington Senators. All of them were under 3. The Cardinals' ERA was 291 and the Tigers was 300. As I said, Denny McLain won 31 games. The team average batting average. If the pitching's great, the batting stunk, okay? The team average batting average in 1968 was 237. The Tigers themselves, American League winners, only batted 235. The highest team were the Reds, who also had the worst pitching. They batted 273. Get this one. The mighty Yankees, 1968, team batting average, 214. Now, I did look this up. Good hitters still hit well. In this year of dominant pitching, Pete Rose batted 335, but there were only 6 batters over 300. But you had players like Willie Mays at 289, Hank Aaron at 287, and Roberto Clemente at 291. 7 pitchers had earned run average under 2. All of them were starters. The relievers were still not used very much. There were 4 pitchers with earned run averages of 4 pitchers in 1968 pitching over 300 innings. Now, I want to close with just the further picture of 1968 that has nothing to do with baseball. If you're as old as me and you lived through 1968, you know that was a year that you'll never forget. So those of you who don't know it or don't remember it, let me just give you a couple highlights. In 1968, the war in Vietnam hit a major turning point when the North Vietnamese launched a Tet Offensive, when we'd been told for years that we were winning, and now we weren't sure. Walter Cronkite, the main reporter in America, went to Vietnam and came out and said, "We can't win this war." That changed everything. Martin Luther King was assassinated in 1968. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in 1968. The Democratic National Convention, the streets were filled with rioters and police beating on them. That is just a tip of the chaos that went on in our country. There were race riots in many, many cities. And this Vietnam and race riots and assassination of 2 popular people, it was life-changing to live through 1968. But in the middle of it, in the middle of 1968, we don't want to ever forget this, a man named Bob Gibson had 28 complete games and an earned run average of 112 for the whole season. That's my story today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please make comments and stick around. We'll tell some more stories later. You all have a great day. I'm Peter Lemieux with Rounding Third.